All right, well, I'm really excited to have some friends of mine on the channel. Thank you, and welcome to Abigail and Chris Buzzelli. We're going to be talking today about why you should ride a national and what a first-timer should know. So I'm really excited to have them on. Do you guys mind just introducing yourself, and we'll just dive right in?
Sure. I'm Abigail Buzzelli. I've been riding 4 years. I've been riding 3 years in nationals, and for the last 2 of those years, we've run a club level team that's really helped us iron out the process that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, my name's Chris, and I've been riding for 5 to 6 years, and this is my third year doing nationals. And to echo Abigail's sentiment, we operated a large club level team, so we got to watch a lot of people experience their first national, and we've learned a lot from them, trying to help them, and also from them providing us feedback.
Awesome, awesome. I'm really glad to have you guys on the channel. I know a lot of viewers are going to get a lot of value out of this. And I imagine there's some viewers, whether it be internationally or here in the States, that have maybe never ridden a trial. They've watched the channel, or maybe they've never ridden a national. So why would someone want to ride events, and especially a higher level event? Do you guys mind sharing why this is an important thing for their own growth and development?
I'm super excited about this question. I'm glad you asked it, Tom, because I'm a dirt bike guy. I came from doing dirt bike nationals, and when I hung up my boots from that, I didn't want to touch a national ever again because they're intense, they're super physical, and it's just like one of those things you're like, oh, I'm done, and what did I achieve? Where the trials nationals are a lot different. It's the pace of the event is more individualized, and it's rewarding. The atmosphere is friendly. The competition's always fierce with yourself, as fierce as you want to make it. And so why would you want to do it? Well, we love riding motorcycles. So even if you are not considering riding one, if there is one within a few hours of you, I encourage you to go attend it. If you've never attended a trials event, I think it will blow your mind how fun, friendly, and accessible it is. And you get to be right up close in the action. You get to watch some of the top riders do stuff where you're just like, I didn't know a bike can do that. And then you get to see riders that are maybe close to your level, and you say, well, they're having fun at a national. I thought this was like big gnarly stuff. I can actually do that too. So even if you have no intention of riding one right now, go attend one, because it's very fun and inspiring. And so why should you ride it? There's a lot of reasons. These are high quality trials events. They are done very well, and they're ran in a slightly different format than other club trials events. So for the folks that have never ridden one, you sign up, you pass tech inspection, and you'll get your own individualized starting time. So you start on your own minute. Let's just say you start at 9:47 in the morning. You get to ride with folks, but you're on your own minute. You get to basically, almost like a surfing analogy, you get to ride your own wave for most of the day. And it's really rewarding. And because the events have a lot of riders, the goal is to challenge riders appropriately, not irritate them too much, and not get riders stuck in sections, or else we end up with these lions and the event would come to a clog. So that goes into another reason why the events are fun, because the sections are designed to challenge you and move you through. They're not meant to frustrate you. They're not meant to do those things. It's an appropriate challenge, and then you get to ride a longer than usual loop to kind of spread people out, which is super enjoyable. So I think just in the section quality alone and having checkers, you get high caliber events. And then I know I'm talking a lot because this is something I'm really passionate about. Like Ray Peters says, it's a high quality trial, and that's very true. And one of the really cool things that does is it makes you a better rider. You know what you have to work on after that. But the really cool thing is, well, I'm holding this mug from one of our local trials. We belong to STRA. You get to take that information and that experience from nationals and go back and make your local club better. And it will. Once someone sees you get better from doing nationals and they realize the nationals are accessible, all of a sudden you have someone else that's like, hey, I kind of want to go. What class should I ride? And that just feeds back into the club. And then when you go to lay out an event, people will lay out better sections because it's inspired by the nationals and it follows a rather standardized set of rules. So for all those reasons and more, I think riding the nationals is just a really rewarding thing that people should try. If you try it once and you're not hooked, I can't offer a money back guarantee, but I'd just be really surprised.
My only thing to add to that is if a little bit's good, a lot's great on trials for me. And every time I go to a local, I love seeing all my friends again. You're going to see that same kind of pattern happen at nationals, which is really cool. So you'll be traveling the country, exploring new places, and also hooking into a really great group of people who are also super passionate about the sport and really invested in making themselves the best they can be to do it. So it's a really special group of people. And then on top of that, if every time I go to a local, it's 4 hours of time in the woods with my motorcycle, a national is 7 hours a day of time alone in the woods with my motorcycle. And I am just like bouncing off the walls to get to go do another season of this.
Yeah, awesome. And I noticed how I got to be a minder for Sam Fassel on the professional line and how humble all the pros were and how accepting. So even though I'm like this new person who I don't really belong, but I asked questions and they explained things, and the other minders were helpful. The riders, even on that high a level, were helpful to checkers and to other clubman riders. And so I just find it such a humble sport that getting into that atmosphere isn't like maybe the NBA or the, Supercross or something. Like, people are still very approachable. And so I really appreciate that as well. So I know there might be some people that now that they hear why they should ride it, they might say, well, what do I need to know? What are some things that a first timer might benefit from having some list or insight about what should I be ready for? What should I prepare for? How can I have a good experience? So do you mind sharing as well what a first timer should know and be ready for?
Sure. So we're going to cover the technical list of things first, the list of things you can probably mostly read off of the NATC website, but we're going to summarize it a little bit differently to make it a little bit more approachable. So the first thing you're going to need is a jersey with your name on the back. It has to be permanent, and the letters have to be a certain size, which you can look up. But this can be as simple as an old sport shirt you've had from another discipline, or it can be a jersey from another discipline. Or if you're ready for some new gear and looking for some comfortable trials clothes, you can go to Trial Store USA or call Alex, who has ridden the pro line for many years, but is, again, very approachable, and he can hook you up with some custom gear. I think that's a great way to go. The second thing you're going to need is a number plate with your name and information on it. You can get a blank number plate and just, put some vinyl on it and write all of that information in a permanent way on it. Or you can have a professional one printed. There's a bunch of places that do that. Also something you're going to need for tech inspection. Your bike needs a tether, which most of them have already, but if you happen to still have a kill switch button instead of a tether, you'll need to switch that over. And then obviously you'll need the other normal things for a trial. You'll need to register online, especially if you want to save money. You have to register at least a month out to get the best deal. So those are all of the basic logistic things that you need.
And for some events, you need to check the flyer. It's really important to check the flyer because some events require a spark arrestor and some don't. So people might, and there's usually vendors like Trial Store USA to buy spark arrestors from, but just in case everyone makes a run on them, you want to make sure you do that.
So in addition to the potential for a spark arrestor at every single national, you'll also need your AMA card with you to pass tech, and it will need to be current. So go ahead and renew early. They'll send you the new card before your old one expires, like whenever you re-up. They won't wait until the end of your expiration to send it, so that you have a card that passes tech. It's super important.
Yeah, if the event's in April and you signed up 2 months earlier, you can't just say, well, I signed up and my AMA card was valid. You need to have it on you. There are rational reasons for that the organizers need. So make sure you have that on you.
All right. So the next portion that we're going to talk about is all of the stuff that you don't need but would be really nice to know, because there's a bunch of things you can do to make your first experience riding nationals better. And that's something that we've really helped our team members learn about, because I think one of the biggest points of intimidation is that you don't know what you don't know. And if you've never ridden or attended a national, you don't know what's different that you need to tackle. So to get into the nitty-gritty of that, the way the event is structured, you'll, in theory, ideally show up Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday. We personally like to take Thursday as a practice day so that Friday before the event we can rest, so that we don't wear ourselves out right before the event. Friday afternoon, they'll have tech inspection. Tech inspection, you'll need to bring your DOT approved or ECE approved helmet. You'll need your AMA card. You'll need your jersey with your name on the back, and you'll need your motorcycle prepared for the competition, ready to go that day with any extra accessories that are required for the event. So a spark arrestor, you'll need your number plate on the motorcycle. You basically have to show up prepared to ride. You'll wait in line for tech inspection. They're going to go down a checklist, make sure you have everything you need, and put a tech inspection sticker on the front of your motorcycle. If for some reason you don't pass tech inspection, or if for some reason something happens and you're missing one of those items on the checklist, there's always same-day tech inspection as well. So the following morning, you can make arrangements to have your bike teched in. If you have a minder, they'll also need to tech in at that time, and they have the same list of requirements with a slightly different number plate requirement. So make sure you read those rules carefully. The next thing that we like to advise everyone on is from the time that you get up the morning of the event. A lot of times the events are out in the middle of nowhere. So you'll wake up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and your start time won't be, let's say, until 11:32. And you'll wake up at 6, you're rearing and ready to go. You'll eat a hearty breakfast to get you through your first loop, and then you'll drive 30 minutes to the event site. You'll spend 30 minutes getting set up and ready to go. Then you'll go warm your bike up, and you'll start talking with people, and you'll have a good time, and you'll put your pack on, and you'll get ready to go out on the loop without eating again, or without doing anything else to fuel your body before you go out on the loop. One of the things that really differentiates this event from locals is that you'll be out with your motorcycle for up to 3 hours on your first loop, walking sections. And it's really easy to eat at 6:30 and go out at 11 and have spent the last 5 hours not eating or putting any fuel in your body, and then spend the next 3 hours out in the woods on your motorcycle. And by the end of all of that, you're so hungry that you can't see straight to think in section 11 when you're trying to walk it and formulate a great plan for how you're going to ride it. So make sure that you eat again if you eat super early, and keep in mind the time that you're going to go out. You bring some snacks and water with you out on the loop. That's tremendously important, and that you're prepared for a very long, structured, fun day of riding, right? So I always like to think of the first loop as being the lengthiest. So I spend up to 3 hours on the first loop, and I leave 2 hours for each subsequent loop. Gives me a great flow for the day. I know if I'm on track. I know if I'm behind easily by checking my watch. Start times are a little bit different. If you want to cover that, Chris.
Yeah, the start times are a little different. You get an individualized start time based on your class and when you sign up. And so that dictates when you come out. But I'm going to take one step backwards from what Abigail said. And there's one other thing that I think is important for enjoying your first national, and that is signing up for the appropriate class. You know, as Tom said, the pros are humble. Everyone's humble. You have nothing to prove to anybody. So, you know, especially if you're going to an area you've never gone before. If you go into Colorado and you're like, oh, I'm going to sign up for this class because I want to do it, you're going to have a miserable time. And it's going to be hard to finish and hard to enjoy it. So if you have to, it's probably best to go down a class than going up a class if you can't find something that matches what your locals are at. And it's Saturday and Sunday. You still have a chance to change from Saturday to Sunday. I've seen it done. Some people sign up and then the event just happens to be on the easy side. You can always maneuver. If you're not into it for series points and you're just trying it, you can do that. And there's also an exhibition class. If you truly want to take your mind off the points and just experience the first national, the exhibition class is a great way to go. You get to ride with everybody, but at the end of the day, your scores were just for show. So that's another great option for people looking to test the waters without worrying about a DNF or seeing your name in the results with a number they don't want other people to see. So I highly advise exploring all the options and signing up for the appropriate class, because people that haven't ridden the national or that are relatively new to trials and thinking about it, as Tom's covered in a lot of videos, the excitement isn't always from the obstacle, it's from getting to the obstacle. And the people putting on trials nationals are very experienced. They're very good at making something look very easy until you're there. So don't get in over your head by signing up for a class that's too hard.
Yeah. I'll just echo that for a moment, because I thought, man, I can do the white line, and everyone counseled me, just sign up for the green line. It's your first national, and I signed up for Clubman. It was plenty challenging. It wasn't as though I was cleaning the whole day, but I had fun, and the loop was hard. I didn't realize how long and intense riding up these rocky terrains in Tennessee at the Trials Training Center was going to be. So harder than the section was just getting there. And that took something out of me. So then when I went to ride through the section, I was glad I wasn't also just slugging my way and dragging the bike through and being worn out. So I agree. Just step it down a level if it's your first time, for sure.
And to add to your point about the loop, the loops have to be long in order to spread people out. And so they're not always hard. There may be a hard section, but again, you're going to be running a longer event. So it's 3 loops with 12 sections. Some local events only have 9 sections and 3 loops. Some of them have 4 loops, but less. So just keep in mind that it's 12 high quality sections across 3 loops. And you're going to have a longer first loop. That kind of goes into the preparation for it to make sure that you're physically capable of doing it, and you carry some things with you to make sure you have a pleasant experience doing it.
The last kind of advice piece that I really want to touch on is to make sure that just the same way as you'd want to read the rules to make sure that the class you're signing up for is appropriate, because the name can be deceiving, right? So for example, in our local club, the STRA, the sportsman line is not equivalent to national support or national sportsman. It's very easy to look at the sign up list for nationals and pick the wrong class based on name with your local class. You really want to read the description and make sure that it matches your current skill set. But also you want to read the rules for the nationals every year going into it. Chris and I sit down and read the rules and read the changes. And it's very important to having a good experience. Understanding the protest process, for example, that's something that you probably don't deal much with at your locals, but you may deal with at a national, and being prepared to deal with that by understanding the rules will give you a lot of patience in the situation, and it'll give you a lot of peace as you navigate those decisions.
No, I think that's a great point. Knowing the rules for the nationals is very, very helpful. The rules are not complicated. They're very much like club trials in terms of crossing your tracks and going through gates backwards, but you have some advantages to being a high quality trial in that you can protest. And unlike motocross, where you're like, I'm protesting that guy, I think he's running an illegal motor, you can't protest anyone else except for your own ride or judgment on your ride. So that's another cool thing, is that keeps the trials atmosphere very cool and very calm. If you see someone break a rule, that's just life. You just keep riding. If something happens to you where they're like, hey, you knocked a marker off and you know that you didn't, you can say politely, I want to protest this ride, and then you deal with it after the event. You move on, just get the formal protest in there. So it's not an angry thing. It's just hey, I got to keep my ride going, but I don't agree with this, and then you move on. So some people view it as it's not confrontational. It doesn't have to be. It's an advantage of having a high quality event.
So those are all really great tips, and I appreciate it. What about expectations? I know for me, coming in, I actually kind of thought, well, I'm riding down a level. I should probably get on the podium. And so I put some expectations on myself as it related to competition. What would you guys say, if it's your first national, what would be some goals or some expectations or some ways to approach it mentally so that it is enjoyable and so that at the end of it, you're satisfied and you're not upset or frustrated?
So my advice for anyone going after their first national is always, the goal is just to finish. Genuinely, it's to gain experience so that you can better understand the event format and structure, see if you like the events, get a taste for whatever venue you're getting to ride. Hopefully it's somewhere new to you so that you can experience that side of things. But it's really just to get a sense for what the nationals are like. Then you can start setting goals. Difficult to set appropriate goals before you really understand what you're getting into. So first time national, just finish the event, have some fun, try to get a feel for what the whole thing's about. Second national and beyond, set some goals, understand that the classes bring so much experience, and it's riders from all over the country converging on one spot with a lot of knowledge and experience. So the depth of the field is going to be a lot deeper probably than your locals. Some locals are really well attended as well, but it's likely that you're going to meet someone with extensive experience at nationals. So it's very important to keep that in mind when you're assessing your own skills on the line, because experience in trials is irreplaceable.
Yeah, and to that point, the original trials, if someone has ever watched the history of trials, the trial was of the motorcycle to make sure it made it through the event. As bikes gotten better, it's become a trial of people and their skills. And you get your individual start time, it's against yourself. And anyone who's ridden trials or tried to ride a section know that it's a nearly infinite skill level that you can achieve. So The cool thing about having such a high quality event is it tells you exactly how to make yourself better. So if you go into it with a growth mindset of, I'm going to just do the best I can and learn from the event, you'll have way more fun than being upset about one section or one ride or where you finished or the could have beens. You can take this experience, make yourself better, and that's what most of the people are going to do that enjoy the events the most and have the most success. And then again, you could take it back to your local club and make them better and elevate everyone's game and get everyone fired up. So I would meet our expectations heavily and enjoy the event, be safe, and then have some takeaways instead of being, oh, I should have done this or I could have finished there. Think about the people you met, think about the sections you rode, think about the skills that you want to work on, and then go after it. And because the Nationals cover such a wide breadth of the United States, it's massive, right? We go everywhere from Maine to California to Oregon. The terrain is different. You may find stuff that you've never encountered before. So you may be a podium level rider and sportsman for the East Coast. But if you've never experienced the West Coast, expecting exceptional results the first time you're there might set you up for failure. Make yourself open to the experience and open to what you learn, and then A, you'll probably do better because you've put less pressure on yourself, but B, you're going to walk away happier and more motivated.
Awesome. Awesome. These are all great tips. What would you guys say as it relates to connecting with others and networking? So for instance, I know that Beta has a nice big tent and they've got parts, hey, I got this issue. I didn't bring enough air filters or what have you. The trial store, there's places that are vendors that can sell you things and get you parts, and even relationships that, you might meet someone in practice and then see them on the loop and decide, man, I kind of want to ride with that person even though I came alone, or, hey, can you help mine for me or spot for me, or different things like that. Do you mind talking a little bit about the importance of going in and, I guess, embracing the community and learning what you can? Do you mind sharing some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe I'll jump in first on this one because I just can't contain myself. We all know that trials is humbling and you find some really kind people and they can become your friends very quickly because we all share a challenging passion. The only hard part is they may live in Kansas. They may live a long ways away, but they become friends quickly the more you interact with them. So don't just go there and go out to the practice area and then think it's you versus them and then go sit in your pits and then wait for your event to go. Go chat with everyone. And, a lot of people have like this pro phobia where they're like, oh, I can't talk to the top guys, Trials is different. Go up and chat with everyone you can and they will remember and appreciate the interaction, and get phone numbers, follow people's Instagrams and do those kind of things and reach out, because trials people aren't always the loudest, but they are the most friendly, and beneath the surface of a lot of social media platforms, you can really connect with people and you're like, hey, I'm passing through this area for work. You want to meet for X, Y, or Z, and you'd be surprised at how much the nice people of trials will go out of their way to maintain friendships.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think being open to talk with anyone, as you're sitting in line for a section or as you're taking a break or as you're in the practice area, a lot of times in the practice area, you'll see little clusters of people forming, whether they know each other from past nationals or whether they just happen to be riding the same part of the practice area, and little lines forming. Go jump into some of those lines and you'll learn a couple of things. You'll make some new friends. The friends I've made at nationals, I talk to all of the time. They've become some of my best and closest friends. And I'm really grateful for the series because it connects you with other people who are just so not only passionate about the sport, but they're passionate about pushing themselves and making themselves better and trying their hardest at something. And that's a really unique group.
And I'll add, if you're a little bit more introverted, the cool thing about the Trials Nationals is everyone's required to have their name on their jersey and on their number plate, so you can quietly stalk them and find them and connect with them at your own pace. And that's actually really enjoyable. You're like, that person was really good. I don't want to talk to them. You're like, oh, I'll just send them a message because I know who they are now. So that's actually pretty nice. It's another way to break the ice.
Or you can just use that as a way to not have to remember people's names at the end of a day of meeting 50 people.
It's handy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hey, can I get a picture of you on your bike? And bam, you've got their name right there. And those are great ideas. Great ideas. I know I've been amazed even just talking to like Pat Smodgy, Josh Roper, some of the top guys. I remember taking a video of Alex Myers, and then later he's like, "Hey, do you mind tagging me on that video?" Because they like to see the footage of them riding as well. And so everyone's super accessible. And on behalf of Beta USA, you guys have got your stuff on. I've got representing stuff. Anyone that's watching this that wants to come to the Beta pits and say hello, please do so. Myself, Abigail, Chris, the whole team is just excited for people to be out there. So if it is your first national and you watched this video, I'd love to meet with you, and so would Chris and Abigail, to say, hey, thanks for putting that video out. I'm here for my first national, or maybe it's not your first national, but you still got some value out of this. It's always fun to meet people and connect with others. So stop by the Beta pits, and we're happy to have you. Anything else as we're wrapping this up, guys, that you'd like to share with someone?
One little quick aside about the accessibility of the pros. So my first national, I had some help from a friend. She minded for me for a couple loops, and then she let me go on my own. My second national, I was all on my own, and I was out in unfamiliar territory. We live in East Tennessee. It was out in California, and I not only a bunch of positive interactions with other people with a lot more experience than me who knew how to do things that I didn't know how to do yet, which really helped me because they talked me through some things. But also I made so many friends, and my positive experiences with the pros were plenty. So I was driving between section 3 and 4, I believe, in a creek, and my chain came off, and one of the pros at the time, Daniel Blankenay, stopped, and he got his gloves wet in the middle of his pro ride to help me get my chain back on and get back on my merry way. And then I get through a couple sections, and I'm waiting in line, and there's Pat Smodgy in line also, and he's waving me on because my bike was started, and I'm, just blown away. And then a few sections later, I managed to fall under my bike, which is not unusual if it's your first couple of nationals. And Alex Myers came over and picked the bike off me. And, just throughout that entire event, not only did I have great experiences meeting my peers, but also the accessibility of the pros in this sport just blew me away. To reiterate what you've said already and what Chris has said, just a really wonderful, giving group of people.
And what she said makes you realize why it's such a great family sport. So for the people out there who are interested in getting their kids in it too, there are youth events at every national. And just like she said, from everyone beginning to the pros, it's a family-friendly atmosphere that you just can't beat. So for the kids, for the adults, it can't be beat in terms of quality, atmosphere, and just kind of, I would say, it does cost money, but the return on it is incredible. The experience that you gain is just, I would say you can't buy it, because you can't. You can't buy that kind of sportsmanship from pros. You can't find those kind of sections on your own. It takes a massive effort that the NATC does, and we all benefit from it. So I strongly encourage everyone to give it a shot.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, guys. And I look forward to riding with you this national series. And for those of you watching, thanks for sticking around till the end. And hopefully if you see us out there, you say hello. See you guys.
Thank you, Tom. Have a good night. Bye, everyone.